either welcome or welcome back to my channel. After 6 weeks and 11 videos, I'm finally doing the second installment of my Literary Devices series. Last time, we discussed dynamic characters, or characters who undergo significant change over the course of their stories, either for the better or for the worse. The device we're discussing today is just as important to any story worth reading or watching: conflict. When most people think of conflict, they think of fighting or tension between spouses, friends, enemies, or even an all-out war between sovereign states. I'm talking about certainly can involve that, but doesn't always. Keep watching to find out what I mean, and subscribe to my channel to learn about more tactics that make a book worth reading or a movie or TV show worth watching. Now let's get started! At its most simple, conflict occurs when one aspect of the story opposes another, just like I talked about in my writing advice video about writing a short story, which I've included a link to in the description. Like I also discussed in that video, the conflict of the story all comes down to the many characters' motivations, desires, strengths, and weaknesses. This opposition can take many different forms, including another character, often known as a villain or antagonist, a simple logistical problem, or even just a second set of values and desires the main character also has. Just like with the story and protagonists themselves, the conflict of the story should have multiple layers of it and change considerably over the course of the story. There are 6 different forms conflict can take, which generally fall into 2 categories. With an internal conflict, the main character has 2 different sets of motivations and desires that clash with each other. With external conflict, an outside source beyond the main character's control interferes with the main character's motivations and desires. This usually takes the form of a character known as the antagonist, but can also take the form of nature, society, or a supernatural force. All stories need conflict, but a good story has both internal and external conflict. Now let's look at some examples.
You know how I just said that a good story has a mix of internal and external conflict? Well, a really good example of that from literature is J.M. Barrie's play and novel, Peter Pan. The male and female leads of this work, Peter Pan and Wendy Darling, both endure tough internal battles over the course of Peter Pan. At the forefront of the plot of Peter Pan is the title character's desire to stay a boy forever and never become a man. This eventually comes to clash with the bond he forms with Wendy while in Neverland, especially after she decides to take her brothers back to London with her. Wendy has a similar internal battle, wanting to get as close as she can to Peter and be the best mother she can to the Lost Boys, while missing her home and parents back in London. In addition, there are many layers of external conflict throughout Peter Pan. First and foremost, Peter Pan and Captain Hook are at odds with each other ever since Peter cut off Hook's hand and fed it to a crocodile, which comes to a head during the climactic sword fight on the Jolly Roger. Moreover, Wendy and Tinkerbell have bones to pick with each other when Tinkerbell grows jealous of the bond Wendy and Peter form, and even goes so far as to tell the Lost Boys to shoot Wendy so to get her out of the way. I know I did a Disney film last time, but I'm going to do it again because those are the movies I know best. In this case, I'm going to do the 2016 film Moana. The film's title character, a young girl who I can assume is between 16 and 19 and is destined to become chief of her Polynesian island, has plenty of conflict, both internal and external. Moana's internal conflict is introduced in the song How Far I'll Go, in which she sings about her desire to be the perfect daughter and properly fulfill the role she is supposed to play on her island, while struggling to reconcile that with her desire to explore the ocean against her father's wishes. Things only get more complicated when Moana sets out on a quest to get the heart of Te Fiti, the goddess she and her people worship, from the egotistical demigod Maui who stole it. When she finally meets Maui, he makes things anything but easy for Moana. But even that is nothing compared to the difficult and terrifying battle Moana must fight near the end with Te Fiti's alter ego, the angry lava monster Te Kā. As you probably figured out from one of my first video essays, I really liked Disney Channel growing up, and one of the shows that made my childhood was Hannah Montana. This show is about a regular teenager named Miley Stewart who assumes the identity of the titular pop star when she's not busy doing homework or hanging out with her friends. As one might imagine, this premise is the perfect recipe for conflict, both internal and external. At many points throughout the series, Miley finds that commitments she makes as Miley and those she makes as Hannah interfere with each other, and at some points, her secret identity is almost leaked. This is before Miley's personal struggle to reconcile her identity as a regular teenager with her identity as a pop star. In the future, look out for a video essay on my channel on why the premise of Hannah Montana wouldn't work in real life. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all learned a thing or two about what is and is not conflict and the many different forms it can take. What are your favorite conflicts in books, movies, and TV? What other literary devices would you like me to explain? Let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you next time to tell the story of how another one of my favorite restaurants came to be. Bye!